Hello and welcome to ScreenHour with me, Kieran.
And me, Mikey.
And in this episode, we're going to be talking about the resurrection of Cyberpunk.
Yeah, that is the best way to describe it, the resurrection of Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is though, I played it when worst state possible, and I completed it in its worst state, and I haven't actually played it since its resurrection. But you, Mikey, you've played it in both terms, haven't you?
So I've played it both times. I played it like crap, like a lot, when it first came out on my base PS4. Sorry, not base PS4, PS4 Pro.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved it for a long time. And to its credit, one of the many good things about it is its whole aesthetic. And I know that's very objective, but they lean into that, and it is cool. The characters and the whole feel of the city. So I got really into it, and I was playing it a hell of a lot. But it just got on my tits because the reason I got peed off of it because it was so close to being great,
Yes.
and it was so glitchy. It was I used to have crashes and well, I didn't have loads and loads, but I'd have them in really bits where I felt like it was significant. I was going to finish a mission, or I was doing a mission which was quite hard, or one where the story was quite integral,
Yeah.
and then it'll just take you out of it, and you just get so frustrated and pissed off.
So I didn't have. I had my game crashed quite a few times. I actually started tallying up how many times it crashed, and off the top of my head, I think I had something like 23 crashes during the entire completion of the whole because I did every single piece of side mission fixes, every main mission. I did everything. There was literally nothing left for me to complete. I brought all the vehicles and everything. I really played it a lot, but I had 23 crashes, as I said, big crashes. Not necessarily in game important moments, like pinnacle moments. They just happened when they happened. I tried to see if there was a reason for them happening, like if I did something that caused it.
Something like that.
Yeah, if I did something that caused it, but no, it just happened when it wanted to. And there was only one that I would actually call game breaking. All the others I was just like, oh yeah, whatever, reboot it back up and carry on playing again. But there's only one I had that was real game breaking, which it was I was just minding my own business, driving along the road, trying to do some side mission or something, I think it was, and my vehicle just absolutely got yoinked into the air. I absolutely yeeted it into the stratosphere, and then I come bouncing back down, and the car explodes, but I land through a building, and I'm stuck inside a building that's got no textures or anything like that, because
Yeah,
it's you're not meant to be there, and I just couldn't get back. And the only thing I could do was quit, and I think my last save was a way back, so it was difficult to.
That's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, so it wasn't I didn't. That's the thing. A lot of people had massive game breaking things. That was my only one I'd call game breaking. But other than that, I had a very smooth sailing. I mean, 23 crashes, granted, but other than that, there was no alarming bugs or anything like that. I was just there for the story, and I was loving it.
That's the annoying thing with me, was that you'd get so into it, and then cars would just boom appear, and you'd crash into a car. Admittedly, I'm not the best at racing games, and they'd just blammo into you.
Yeah,
because they just appear.
Yeah, I did have a couple of those situations, but I sort of I don't know, I just overlooked them as such, because there's been a lot of games releasing lately that were just absolutely ass as soon as they came out. It was just became a thing of just don't pre-order a game, because all games are just going to be terrible on release.
Yeah, not to sound like we're too big for our boots per se. Developers just need to publishers just need to chill out and let the developers do their thing.
Yeah, and I think that was the thing. I think it was the publishers, not CD Project Red as such, like the developers, but it was the publishers, whoever they are.
It's a pattern, it really is.
Yeah.
To be fair, they've got their own controversy with the crunch and people who came out about Rockstar, yeah. But there's been GTA 4 came out when I was in like year 8, yeah, and then GTA 5 came out when I'd going into university. So that's how big of a like gap they had between the GTAs, and look at the difference
Yeah.
because they didn't rush
GTA
them.
5 is still being played to this day. It's like,
GTA
what?
5 is still being played today, and they are because they are making loads of money off shark
Yeah.
transactions. So that's just a prime, very like common example. But it comes down to loads of games, like and also fatigue for a franchise. So do you remember the Assassin's Creed franchise? They was like racking one out every year for ages,
Yeah.
and then they
Well,
left it a couple of years, and they not rebooted it because it's the same like continuity, but they like changed the way they done it. And Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla were a lot more RPG-esque, and for the
yeah.
most part, very well received.
Yeah, I Odyssey is my favorite. I think I really enjoyed Valhalla, but I think Odyssey is still my favorite one.
But yeah, they
But it's as you're saying, it's publishers allowing the developers to develop, to give
let
them
them
time
develop more
to
so.
create the masterpiece. Because I mean, admittedly, I was bummed that Cyberpunk getting pushed back and postponed. Like I really wanted to play it, especially after seeing
Yeah,
the
100% odd.
40-odd minutes like demo. I was just literally in awe. I was like so hyped. I mean, I was hyped from the first initial teaser, right, with the woman with the mantis blades and she's being shot at by the police. Do you remember that
It was
trailer?
great. I remember that trailer when I first
Yeah,
released it, and one of the reasons I fall in love with it so much, and to be fair, you like these type of films as well, but like I love sci-fi films, but also more to the point, I love like sci-fi like thriller films to a degree, and like Blade Runners. The two Blade Runner films are like two of my favorite films,
yeah. It's like the
and
artistic style, isn't it? It's
it's
exactly
very
quite
similar style.
like Matt Reeves' The Batman. There's that sort of like artistic style there, isn't there?
Yeah, then like the neon like dark,
Yeah, like noir sort of.
noir, but like neon. It's contradictory, but you play it and you can feel it. Yeah, it's the same type of atmosphere.
Yeah,
They are like so playing it on the PS4 Pro when I first played it, and literally I think it was it the end of 2019? It came out December 2019.
no, I think it was 2020.
Yeah, it was 2020. Yeah,
Yeah,
2020.
I
I remembered.
think it was the end of 2020.
So it does it feels like longer than that, but that's just COVID and other
It does,
things.
it does, yeah.
But the game itself and the story was and the aesthetic was always good. It has always has been good.
Yeah,
So to its credit, what's really cool about it, and funny enough, I completed it on my PS5 playthrough last month, well, the other couple of weeks ago, and you feel this more so. All the side stories, like the actual side like characters and like full-on storylines, are great. And the reason I say like full-on spoilers here for a game which, as you say, came out over a year ago, but we are desperately to encourage you to play it again. I cannot recommend that enough to play it again,
yeah,
especially how much it's been on sale now. Like if you
yeah.
haven't played it now, the patch 1.5 is like a new game.
Mm.
It's honestly so much more fluid. But spoilers for the end of the game. When you go and storm Arasaka Plaza, you're with Johnny at the top, and you quote unquote tripping balls, and you get the options to like how you're going to storm it. But I looked into it after I completed it. How your options are whoever basically you've put the most time in for story, like side mission wise, and
Yeah.
also like who you've quote unquote romanced, and like a lot of straight white males, I may have put a lot of time in with Panam, and I'm the Nomads with my team to storm down with, and I smashed it with them, and like that like whole storyline in itself. Panam is like not just because she's a very aesthetically pleasing and good graphics model with a pair of jeans, but she like her character is like written really well. She's quite impulsive and likable, and all the side missions she has her own little arc, and they
Yeah.
don't seem rushed. But all of them,
But
so
yeah,
whoever you choose, that's what it comes down to the point where like I thought to myself when I looked into it, if you don't go down and pursue like a romantic character and they're like down one of the side missions, you just have to storm Arasaka by yourself as V-Life, and it's a lot harder.
Yeah. I think you get to a point and it says something like save now because you won't be able to turn back or something like that, you know, when it says that thing.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, I know it got to that point and I was like, oh, right, okay. Right, and I made sure I did like all of the side missions because I wanted to open up as many options available to me when it came down to like the final sort of showdown against Arasaka. So I did all of the options available, so that's how I was able to like blitz all of the side missions and everything. And normally side missions are just sort of like added content just to sort of keep you playing the game, but at the end of the day, it's all about the main story. I enjoyed. I don't. There's not a single side mission that stands out that I was like that was ass. I didn't enjoy that whatsoever. I really enjoyed the side missions, and the side mission I enjoyed the most was the one where you're sort of playing as a detective and you're helping the married man and woman.
Is that like a PI like?
Yeah, as the PI
Yeah.
sort of thing. Now I can't remember exactly what happens in it, right? But I just remember when
Yeah,
that
he's running from mayor, isn't it? Yeah, he's running from mayor, and like
running from there, that's it. The
someone's
way when
after him, and
that
he's trying to
whole
pull it off.
like that whole side mission, I was absolutely loving it because I think at the time as well when I was like playing that side mission, the second season I think it was of Altered Carbon came out, right? And Altered Carbon has got like pretty much the exact same style as Cyberpunk. It's
Yeah,
it was of something I watched in anticipation for Cyberpunk. It was like, oh, Cyberpunk's coming out soon, and you sort of like, I want to watch something that's got that similar vibe, and I was like, I'll rewatch Altered Carbon, and Altered Carbon, especially the first season, he's that sort of PI role of trying to solve the murder of is it Bancroft?
that's it, Bancroft. Yeah,
Bancroft, yeah, and so it was that same sort of like dynamic sort of thing there, and I really enjoyed that sort of side mission, and and as you said, Pan Am was written really well. But even like the nobodies, like just random people you met along the street or you only had a couple of encounters with, everyone was written really well. Everyone had a different personality. There was no sort of, I mean, you've got like the visual graphic problem of duplicate skins and stuff on certain NPCs, but the actual other sort of main voice characters, everyone was really fleshed out, and it was a
yeah, this is
very enjoyable experience, like to build all
it
of
just
that up.
makes you want to keep playing the sword missions more,
Yeah,
and also
yeah,
like as you say, they're very organic. So I remember you meet also one of the other maid sword mission characters you meet, and you have like a chance to romance. Is River, and River is like a detective,
he is. Yeah,
and we won't like spoil his like storyline too much, but his basically one of his family members gets kidnapped, and you have to investigate that, and that becomes like quite seedy and quite intense. So that's cool. But the way you meet him is through the side mission Kieran's just mentioned, through that branching storyline,
yeah,
and it all feels like quite interwoven.
yeah. It just sort of like organically progresses. It's not like, oh, go to this waypoint, go to that waypoint, go to this waypoint, go to that waypoint. It's all sort of just naturally flows, and the next thing you know, you're just following the path.
And that's
It's
something they've done even better
yeah,
in patch point 1.5 and on the new like PlayStation 5 generation upgrade is what something it was quite annoying, but one of the ways to try and get you to do a few more missions would be like people just pop up and ring you on the holophone or whatever,
oh yeah,
and they'd get on your tits like, and they've stopped doing that now. So before, what would happen is you drive into an area, and I can't remember what they'd call them like, but every area would have like a gig dealer because you're like a merc, and like the whole premise is like you're gonna make it big. The fixers, that's it.
I
Fixers.
was gonna say the fixers, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, and the fixers like give you higher like better missions, and like they call them gigs and stuff. But like as soon as you drove into their area, they just ring you, and that would get annoying. But even now, like that was a little niggly thing. They've sorted that out. and it's less overwhelming than not just pounding you with missions.
Yeah, quality of
But
life changes.
even the premise, like the premise sounds like quite generic. You're a mercenary who wants to make it big, but the whole, and yeah, this is not part of its advertising, was number one, the whole idea of somebody living in your head. Similar to the only way, like only game I've seen done it similarly is Batman Arkham Knight
Oh, with
and
Joker.
Batman Arkham Knight with the Joker. But it does it really well because as much as I love the Batman games, it's not an RPG in the sense that you don't make choices in the Batman games. Where like obviously in Cyberpunk you make choices. So what's cool is like you have Johnny, and Johnny will always like depend on like what you choose, whether it conflicts with his personality or not. He'll take the piss out of you making a dumb decision, or he'll like encourage you and be like, "Oh, compliment it as much as he can and will because he's such like a mental bloke." And that in itself is so cool. The way they casted, and number two, yeah, my other point is the casting of Keanu Reeves,
Yeah,
Johnny's jokes, and how they. What I like about it as well is, as a storytelling perspective, they delve into Johnny's past, and we say about side missions and choices at the end. So one of the many choices is somebody who can quote unquote romance is Johnny's missions. So one of the like, it's not so much game mechanics, but one of the the story mechanics is obviously Johnny's in your head as his biochip, and Misty gives you pills, and you like take these pills to like get rid of him, block him out of your head, or you can take the pills to encourage him, and he full on takes over your body. So then you go do missions as Johnny to go see like Rogue and your old friends, and you can do missions like that. And that's like it's cool. Like they make Johnny like a really in-depth, likable character.
yeah. You don't mind him overtaking your character because most games you're like, nah, I want to play with the character I've created. You know, I want to create my own story arc. But because I don't know if it's because it's Keanu Reeves, but the way that they've created Johnny is like, well, actually, I do want to explore who this character is, so I don't mind him sort of taking control in certain situations because it'll just add to a more fun gaming experience. You know, more memorable sort of time with the game itself.
Yeah, the dialogue and writing he has, how snappy it is like pure gold, and a lot of it is just him like you see a new character and him just mugging off this new character
Yeah,
and like reacting to like mad stuff, and that's it. And also the back and forth, him or herself is written cool as well, and the options you have
well,
are,
the
are
options
really
are
are good.
based on your background. I can't remember what they call it. It's not like your class, but it's like your background. So you're
Yeah,
either a street rat, a nomad, or a
yeah,
corpo.
street kid, nomad or corpo. I
Yeah,
like that idea, but I just feel like they could have explored it more.
yeah. I felt like they could have explored it a bit more because I went with corpo, right, and you went with nomad, didn't you? There
Yeah,
wasn't much. I actually really liked the intro to corpo. Um, the way it's sort of like you're in a like a city car and you like a taxi thing and you're flying around the city, meeting the higher ups. And I felt as a corpo there was a lot more like dialogue options because I did a second playthrough like about 2 months or so after I completed my first playthrough, right? And I went as a street kid and I didn't get I mean, even 25% as many dialogue options as I got as Corpo because I could use Corpo in pretty much every conversation I had with everyone I met, and it got me around of a lot of loopholes, right? But as Street Kid, I think I managed to use one every four people, every four conversations or something, and that was like pushing it. I don't even think it was that many.
and
I
this is
didn't find it that useful whatsoever. You were slagging me off for going Corpo because it's like, what do you want to go Corpo for?
yeah,
Go
corpo's
Nomad.
boring. Like I was like
Yeah, but it
go
really,
nomad or street kid, but I found like corpo like seemed a bit, I don't know, seemed a bit boring, and it seemed like as cliche as it sounds, less edgy. But
yeah, but it was
I
really
think
useful.
yeah, this is, I mean, I didn't find it. Whether it's because I didn't go, I've been had two playthroughs, and both of those were Nomad and Street Kid.
Yeah,
But they could have enforced that idea more. So like the dialogue options were cool. Like as you say, like there's some bits where like you can say something, and there'd be more bias towards you because you come from that background. But I think like it would have been cool if you had missions where you'd have like entire different branches which would happen if you were from that background.
Yeah, because it was only like the first sort of like 10, 15 minutes of the game
Yeah,
that
it was like
was slightly different.
which were which were different. Just it essentially came down to how you met Jackie. That's
Yeah,
your background. That was your background. So my like as a nomad, my first playthrough, it was you wake up in a garage, you've got your sweet like you got your weird little car, and then you're like smuggling an iguana. You're smuggling an iguana off across from the like nomad desert into Night City, and then you see Jackie, and then you meet him there, and then Street Kid is you meet him when you're nicking a car for one of the fixers, and he's nicking the same car because it's like a really rare car, and you both get busted by the cops. The montage, that's another little niggly thing, despite how much I love it.
yeah, yeah. I
Is
wanted to get
is
onto
not
this.
Jackie's friendship is something which is like flown without the whole of the game, especially towards the end of the game, and like him as a character is designed well, and like you can believe it, but you want to want to feel invested more. So my point is, why have a montage where you could have had a few more missions planned as a duo? So then you would have been more gutted as a player when Jackie got blamoed and he died.
Yeah,
Because
I felt Jackie dying was kind of like a blindside. I thought it would happen maybe 75% of the way through the game, maybe 50% as like the climax, and it's the way, it changes your character's mindset or whatever. But the fact that it happens in, the first sort of 25% of the game felt way too soon. And as you say, they needed to create that bond, because we meet Jackie, right? There's a whole montage. We do the big old mission, and he dies, and it's
he
like,
dies during the
how
big
how
one.
am I meant to feel connected to Jackie at all? I mean, in the snippet scenes we get with Jackie, you do connect with him very easily. He's
Yeah,
a very likable character. But
V like has good scenes with him and like you're having a laugh with him. And
yeah,
even the montage is fun in itself, don't get me wrong. But like you still could have had that montage because it's like 6 months later or something like that.
yeah,
But you could have had like literally half hour of like main story missions with Jackie, or like it could have been an avenue for you to meet the fixers around the city.
yeah,
Jackie could have been like, "Oh, look, I've got to go do this mission. Let's go meet these." Or obviously a bit more organic or better written than that. Let's go do this mission. But so you could have introduced you to the world more via Jackie because Jackie's
yeah,
a local to the world as well.
yeah. Because
So
Jackie's like the indoor as such, is the gateway.
yeah,
Yeah, but I do feel that with Jackie, right? Jackie, for me, he resembles a lot of Joe Barbaro from Mafia 2, right? And Joe Barbaro, I think, is a brilliant character, just like Jackie. It's really well written for both characters. I mean, Mafia 2 is like, it's one of my favorite
I
games.
think like because I've never played Mafia 2, but a lot of people like if they played it, they loved it. So it's like
Yeah,
I've
it's,
got a
it's
friend from like university who played it about 7 times.
I can believe it, to be honest. I'd play it today if I really wanted to. But with Joe, basically, he's like a childhood friend. There is a bit of montages here and there, but you still do a lot with him. There's a lot of missions you do together, and there's a lot of like jokes and stuff that he throws in that are very likable, right? And he's in for a good portion of the game. The game came out, I don't know, 2011 or something like that now. So spoilers: Joe dies right at the end, but it's right at the end, and it's quite heartbreaking the way he dies, because he goes to join one what they called mafia boss. He goes to join one mafia boss where your character Vito goes to join another one, but the one is dealing in drugs, so you have to go kill him, and then Joe has to turn on his own boss, right? And then when Joe comes to you with your boss just goes, "I'm sorry, kid. Joe wasn't part of the deal," and Joe goes off he goes off in a different car, sort of like Vin Diesel and Paul Walker, how they drift off different cars. It's like that was like the original, right? And you just see like your character's face, like, oh shit, like they're about to kill Joe, right? And that's how I feel they should have done it with Jackie. I mean, not exactly identical like that, but I was generally distraught that they were going to kill Joe. But whereas Jackie, it's like, oh, Jackie's dead. We'll just go to the memorial. But guess what? We get a free bike. Yeah, buddy. Like
Yeah,
that doesn't quite have that same feel.
I feel like you still could like. I'm not saying don't kill him off because that like it's high risk storytelling. As you say, built it on more. It's like I tell you, like not like we want on this episode to be about like bromances in like games, but like Sully from like the Uncharted series. He's with you like on load of missions during the Uncharted series, and he doesn't die like spoilers. But what I'm saying is like you would be gutted if he died because he's featured in it a lot.
Yeah, but it is, and the thing is, he's not in it all the time. But when he is in it, he's gold.
Yeah, you could argue that if Jackie stayed in it, how would you connect with other side mission characters, whether it be River, Kerry, Judy, or Pan Am? But you just you kill him like halfway through the game, don't you? Halfway through the act,
Yeah,
halfway through, like halfway through Act Two, as opposed. And also, I think like that would have made it cool when Johnny's taken over your body to see Jackie's like reaction to
yeah,
like what's going on there because like Jackie's went to know you, Ali would have cottoned on. And there's a lot of
well,
bits in the game where like you think to yourself when you're with your so apart from Kerry, all of
yeah,
the romances obviously don't know, you can tell them.
yes,
So it's like as you work in your like relationship through your romance like people, it's like a big decision whether you tell them or not. Not like you'd have to shag Jackie, but like could
yeah.
have been a good story point for you to like tell Jackie that.
I think when Jackie died in the storyline, like the story arc, is the right time, right? Because what I sort of want to complain about is the fact that that montage took like too much of their friendship, if you know what I mean, like the
Oh yeah,
whole
yeah,
budding
exactly.
bromance. I don't mind, a montage of like, spending doing like 4 missions together or something, but then we get to complete the rest of the montage of actually controlling the character and living those moments rather than seeing the whole montage, if you get me. Like the whole idea of Jackie dies and you missing your brother in arms, and then you meet Johnny and you sort of lean onto Johnny as being your new brother in arms. I like that sort of thing. So I'm not complaining about like I think Jackie died at the right time in the story arc, but
Just
in the
needed more
game
story in general.
progression, he dies too soon.
Yeah, I know that's exactly what I mean because they could have, it would have been more gutting. But for characters in general, there's no real character where you think, oh, they were underdeveloped. And if you do hate the characters, because you'd love to hate them.
Yeah,
So Dex's portrayal is done well. So you don't necessarily like. I didn't see that coming the first time playing it. Did
no.
think it was a bit fishy, like, but that's the way like the world's built to be around. That when that happens, cool. I like. I've got the main guy, the guy you with throughout the game, the Japanese guy,
Oh, oh, Yakamura?
Yakamura,
Takamura. Takamura.
Takamura. That's it. He's cool as fuck. Like he's like
He's
literally
so
like
cool.
he's like your deadpan guy. He's your guy to bounce off. So a lot of
Yeah.
the time, because I'm like I like to think I'm a smart ass, but really I'm probably just too cocky and annoying. That was the way I'd play my V. Was just winding up Takamura. Was jokes and like the way he just bounced off. You could just be sarcastic to him, and
Oh, well,
it's
you were mentioning earlier about like the receiving phone calls and stuff. I loved it when you could just like it was just another little feature that was added into the game, and it was the text messaging, and you could occasionally get text messages from random people. And Takamura was one. He was great because I can't remember exactly the one that happens, but he's asking a certain question, and then you're like, "Wait, are you texting me? You're something you're trying to Google?"
yeah, that's it.
Or something like that. And that was just I have me creasing that did because it wasn't necessary at all for the story, but they just added those little bits in that just sort of like grounded everything and made it more of like bared more fruit. I don't know. Do I want to say that? It wasn't just like, oh, there's an apple tree, but there's an apple tree with a shitload of apples on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
It's a weird analogy. It's a weird analogy, but I'm gonna go with it.
it's they always building people up. They're always like, if they introduce a character, it's because they're connected to the world and they're connected to other characters. It's not just here's this random guy. You've got to like him now, and that is something to do with not so much the gameplay. Yeah, to a degree, the gameplay in itself, but they were like the way the world's built is it is like it'll welcome different playthroughs. It really will, purely just
Yeah,
because not just from narrative choices you make, but also, and I suppose you can argue I can just respec like I have on my last playthrough, but the physical, like if you're going through a sniper playthrough and you're taking your time, or you're going through a stealth playthrough,
net runner.
or you're going for a net runner. Net runner's totally different. Like I haven't done net runner.
I went complete net runner, like as absolute glass cannon. And then, like, I think towards the end, I unlocked the mantis blades or something, and then I just went all ham on melee. But the net runner was so much fun. It wasn't too powered because it took a while to get the really good skills, such as being able to get the NPCs to shoot themselves in the head with their own weapons or whatever, right? So it was more so of following like all the camera networks, a bit like Watch Dogs, really, and
Yeah,
using all that to your advantage and hacking into things and disrupting things and all that. I really enjoy that sort of stealthy sort of hacking gameplay because it's not too prevalent in a lot of games. So I feel like when it's there, I like to make the majority of it as such. Whereas you're just like a man with a shotgun that just runs straight at anything.
yeah, I am very gun ho, and that's what's cool about the game is we had two
It
totally
caters to
different
both
playthroughs.
those. Yeah,
Another thing when it was first released was it wasn't just broken in the sense it was glitching all the time. It was overly easy, like a piece of piss. So me being me, I took a sweaty nerd researching like different things about it and have a look at tips. And also you can find this really easy. Kim mentions the Mantis Blades and you have your cyber mods, yeah. And
yeah,
you can get the legendary Mantis Blades by not even killing this boss if you're quick and you just run up to this box where the boss is, grab him and run out. And they haven't got a level cap on them, so you can like grab them whenever.
yeah.
So I had like game breaking, like not game breaking, but like top tier end of game loot. And I was just absolutely mowing through people for like ages. And it was just cushed it as a piece of piss. But I used to run around with that and just like jump on top of people, just slash them. But the thing they've done the most with the 1.5 patch, I cannot express this enough, is that it's just smoother. It really is. So that's why
Mm,
like everybody like was pissed off, myself included, when the game came out and it was broken. It's because it was on like the edge of being great. It was because like it had
yeah,
so much potential. It wasn't like it was a shit game. Just straight off,
no,
it's just that like it just needed a little bit more work, and now it has it. So the driving, I didn't like the driving at first because I thought the driving was just it was clunky
yeah,
and janky. It felt like somebody was pushing a cardboard box for you. You couldn't drift on it. It just felt like weird. So they've overhauled the driving now. The driving is smooth. We say about different gameplay and gameplay styles. So instead of like they had it used to be called stealth, it's now called ninjutsu. So they've added different skills and different perks. They've even got like some of the perks they've got rid of, like some boring ones which are just like passive ones. And
yeah,
like
yeah. I mean, I haven't played it since December, I think, of 2020, because I can. Well, I completed it, done my first run through, and then I think it was like the February, the March of 2021. I went for a second run through with Street Kid, and there'd been a couple of patches, and I actually found my gameplay was far worse. It felt far more glitchy. So I just sort of like, oh, I'll wait until it's fixed, and I can get it on the PlayStation 5 because I was playing on a base PlayStation 4, like the original PlayStation 4, and I'm still waiting for my PlayStation 5. I'm still trying to find one. And when I do get it, I will then play it again with this new 1.5. But the odds are it'll probably be like 1.7 or even 2.0 by the time I finally get hands on PlayStation 5. But I really do want to play it again and play all the sort of the new skills and play. I'd probably go Nomad because I've partially played Street Kid. I completed Corpo, so go for the Nomad playthrough and see what's changed. And I mean, we mentioned it obviously earlier about the whole montage and Jackie and everything, and I just thought, I reckon. I mean, it's a big shout, but I reckon if when they bring out the DLCs, the whole montage could be some sort of DLC. So it gives us that sort of.
But I don't think they would do that. But
No, I think it's a
no,
big shout, but I think that
I
could be
think
a
it's a good
good
idea. I
way.
think they should do that.
Yeah, I think it's a good way of sort of bringing that back because I know quite a few people have sort of complained that that montage kicks out half the bloody game. I mean the game's a sizable length. I think it's like I'm not to say it's 77 hours, but it's close.
Especially if you do all the side missions. So
Yeah,
shout out to Kerry as well. Kerry Eurodine's like a cool that side mission. Judy is really cool. Her like story arc is very organic.
yeah,
And it's cool because it's the way she's introduced. It's through the like you have to meet that character because it's introduced during the main story, and then
doing the
you can
brain
just
dance.
doing the brain dance, and that's like a cool. That again in itself is a cool,
It's another cool mechanic. Yeah,
another cool mechanic and concept. So like it's where you investigate things and you experience things and the memories and stuff. So that is trippy when you're just reliving other people's memories and you're doing mad stuff. So
yeah,
when you
but
do
it
that,
also doesn't feel too far from reality either.
it's only 50 odd years in the future, and the stuff in the game, maybe not so the Mantis blades or like the bit when you're shooting the rocket out your arm, not too far out of far fletched.
Talking about Judy as well, like my favorite bit with Judy was the whole swimming bit where you swim on the underwater city that got the city that was flooded. That's I think it's part of the reservoir or something. The game's tone just completely changed because you're running around, you're driving around, you're mantis blading people, you're net hacking people, and the next thing you know, you're just swimming
Just
around
slows
like a
down, doesn't
little
it?
fish,
Yeah.
just vibing, just listening to the stories of Judy and her childhood. And it was such a nice change of pace. It was just a brilliant scene. And then to echo that, later on when you're doing side missions with Kerry, the bit where you're on his boat and he's just
And
doing
your
that
partner's playing the music. Yeah.
that bit was just like absolute
Well, funny
vibes.
enough,
I
when I
was
was playing the
loving it.
video, when I was playing it loads and I was like watching YouTube videos on it, there was
Yeah,
someone had made like a 10-hour video of like Kerry Eurodyne playing on the boat, and that's one of like my top things about it. And I generally listen to the music when I go to the gym or to go for a run or
oh yes,
whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is the music itself like the samurai music, especially like GTA has all the radios like stations and licensed music in the
Yeah.
car. So does Cyberpunk,
Yeah,
but
but the thing with
all the music
Cyberpunk is they actually got loads of different artists to create songs
that's what I mean,
solely for
solely
Cyberpunk.
for that. Like, but as you say, there's a lot of like mad synth songs. Despite you be like shooting people with a shotgun, you feel like you want something a bit more chilled, and you can just put the reggae playlist on. There's like a reggae like playlist, really hard rock one, dance vibe, proper techno, and also just the soundscape in itself.
Talking about the reggae music, the whole voodoo, like all the different gangs, the Maelstrom gang, the voodoo gang.
That goes a long way to making the lore and the world feel believable. Is the different gangs of how like they're fleshed out and how different they feel. So the
Yeah,
Moxie are cool. They're like sexy and badass. Then you got the Maelstroms who are like decked out to the nines with like cyber gear. They got implants coming out their head, like arms and everything. And then you've got like the voodoo guys, as you say. They're very hacker-esque, but they're not a lot of. Despite them being hackers and netrunners, they're not very implant-esque, are they? If I
no,
remember correctly, they don't have a lot of implants.
no.
So this is another cool story point. So I didn't know until my second playthrough. If you so you have to go with the voodoo boys. If you portray him during when somebody's looking for the voodoo guys, it's like an FBI agent or something like that. you say, yeah, I give you my details. And when you come out of the net, everybody around you's dead, all the other net runners, because the
Oh
FBI's
yes.
get on. And you come out, and like the big like hench voodoo child guy, you've got to kill him as like a boss. Well, my first playthrough, I didn't dob him in, and you just wave him at him, and you just talk to him after, and he's just like, yeah, right, how's it going? Because I dobbed him in that time, I got his cool sweet black leather jacket because I killed him. Fucking shot him to shit with an assault rifle. Actually presumed I dobbed him, and he was right. I dobbed him.
It's all because you wanted his jacket.
Just 'cause I wanted his jacket. I did a very similar thing with Fallout 4. To be fair, Aldo Mason has a sick fur jacket. Got to kill him for his jacket. But there's loads of mad story things like that which encourage another playthrough. As I say, you get a different ending depending on who you romance more, and there's also mad rewards you can just totally bypass if you don't do enough side missions. So Johnny has like a really cool Porsche, and he has a cool gun, and if you don't
Yeah.
do his side missions, you just don't get them.
So I did his side mission, but because you have to do a certain thing to unlock the Porsche. It's I don't know. You have to like
You have to leave Grayson alive. So
yeah, I
Grayson,
think that's it.
That's it.
I killed him because I was like, "Fuck this guy." I didn't get the Porsche, and you were like, "Oh, did you get the Porsche?" And I was like, "What Porsche? What Porsche?" And you told me about it, and then I watched a YouTube video to do it, and I was like, "Oh, I killed him." So
Apparently you can go
Porsche.
back. Apparently you can go back and get it. But what I
Yeah,
done
I think I did try and go back,
is
and I
like
think I managed to glitch it or something. I can't remember.
you can I had a Montana do. Let him free, and he goes, "Oh, let me free, and I'll give you something cool." He's like, I was like, yeah, go on then, whatever. So he gives me the key for the container which the Porsche's in.
Yeah.
He gives me that, and I just shot him point blank in the head once he gave me the key.
Typical Mikey.
Just like, boom, fuck yeah. And there's loads of cool stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's
there's
just
just so many amazing things. I mean, for me, the
some
thing
of
that
some of the little gigs get a bit repetitive, where it's just like go kill this fuck. But they're the gigs. That's
because
just a quick.
you can't forget you're a mercenary. You know that's
That's how you're just
job.
making your money. You're just going around like doing that. I found something which was really like it's a whole like convoluted, like quite an emotional story about these gangs, and it's like a Romeo and Juliet story, and then this like bloke kills his like girlfriend, dobs him in so the other gang can kill him. Something mad like that, but it's like a really cool bike, and it's not advertised. Like I watched a YouTube video. I wish I could tell you who it was who done it, but loads of people done a video on it. But it's the only you can only find it if you go to a certain place, and then it gives you a clue to the next certain place you got to go. And you meet the guy, and you nick his bike, and his bike's cool. Like you can have his part as like your garage and call it off. But you find out the backstory behind that is because like the guy's a dick and he betrayed his girlfriend,
Yeah.
and that's just like a cool way of having this.
Oh,
Having
I
this
think
car.
I know the one you're on about now. Yeah.
And you have like one of the reasons you get a cool car again. Like the cars are like a lot better now with the patch, but they like look badass anyway. Is the whole street racing storyline with Claire?
Yeah.
That's like cool as fuck.
I mean, what makes me laugh as well with Claire is she's all there to go and kill that guy that killed her husband, right? Because it's all his fault for killing her husband. And she's like absolutely pissed at him. But she's like, "Love, it's called a death race. Like this was his
Oh,
job."
this is I 120% agree because it's called death races, and people are like when you're doing the missions. Do you know like we went on about how smartly written some of it is, and like
Yeah.
it's like quite funny. I don't like as you say, that bit is stupidly written because as you're smashing into people, she's like, "Yeah, fuck them up, go on, do it. We want to win, we want to win." And then towards like the storyline arc, she turns around and says, my husband died or whatever. And it's like Samson's fault. And I was like, hold on a minute, love. 2 minutes ago, you were like fucking running me over in reverse. So which way do you want it? Like, you hypocritical fuck.
To be fair, I think that was well written. I mean, I don't think it was poorly written. I think it was well written to make her seem hypocritical. I like that sort of
Yeah, I know
absurdity and
what you mean.
chaoticness
Because
to a character.
you two turn around to her, and like, I think one of these dialogue options is like, it's not get a grip if
Fucking
it's
what?
but like, it's more so saying it's a death race playing a game. So I didn't know that. Again, I found out this on my second playthrough. I think if you let him go, and you stick up for the chap when you get the point to blam it, he gives you a sweet car. He gives you his car he was using in the
Yeah.
race. So, and you get, unless you treat her like a dick, you get her car. You get the pickup.
Yeah, I think I sided with Claire, even though she was definitely in the wrong. I sided with her because I spent so much time with her. So I thought, well, I figured she'll give me a better, reward than he would. So I just thought I'll stick with her. Why not?
It's funny stuff. So like, you've got to get the jacket off the game, the samurai jacket. You can get that if you do Johnny's missions. If you don't do Johnny's missions, you fucked it. You don't get the cool ass jacket.
Yeah, I think you get some trousers and boots as well. I think.
You get the trousers and boots, but the trousers and boots are like some mad of a side mission. The other, like, literally now it's in a state where they've put loads more time into it, and it's so good. The only thing I want now is DLC. But today, what they've been trying, like, I wish they didn't have to do this, but they've just been trying to get people back in people's good graces. So I never like traded mine in because I knew, because their history, CD Project Red,
Yeah.
25th, like when Witcher 3 came out. Witcher 3 is like regarded as one of the best games ever. It's one of the best RPG games ever.
Yeah, it's
That's
my favorite
because
game. My
it's,
favorite game ever.
it's because it is like, it is fucking cool as fuck.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons like a lot of people's hype for Cyberpunk. But I remember talking to people, and like the general internet consensus is that Witcher had a pretty rocky release, and then over time it like came a lot better.
I mean, it wasn't as rocky as Cyberpunk. It was just like a regular rocky, as most games are these days. But
Yeah.
it definitely got better quicker, I feel. I feel like for me, Cyberpunk, right? I completely enjoyed my entire playthrough, but the thing that really made me go, "Oh shit, wow," was the ending for me. Because the ending for me, I chose to set Johnny free. I think that was my option, and yeah, and I was to stay as well, like my complete self. So I was like Johnnyless, right? And there was
Oh, I thought it meant you, when you said set Johnny free, I thought you meant like let him take over.
no. And my character then became like the new rogue at the nightclub.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, like at the end. So she became the new rogue. And right at the end, because the whole game is in first person, apart from like times when you're in the car, you can go in like third person, but it's entire first person, or you could look in the mirror. And there was a bit towards the end where she gets out of the chair, and she looks at my character looks at herself in the mirror, and she says like, "Come on, V, we've got this. We can do this." Like right before she does the Arasaka mission, and it's the way she just looks at herself in the mirror and talks to herself. I was like, "Oh shit, this is like the person I've been controlling all this time. Like this is my character. Like we've come on this like 70 odd plus hour journey together." I was just like absolutely like whoa. And then right at the end, my actual like final bit, she's in a spaceship, right? She's heading out towards like one of the Arasaka sort of like space terminal type things, right? I want to call it like the cloud sort of thing. It's
Yeah,
like,
I remember seeing that because I never knew that was an option. It's like cool as fuck. Like.
yeah, and so basically we're going up to that, and she's in the suit, and we're all still in first person, and she's picking up like a helmet, and she's picking up a gun, and she's attaching that to herself, and then she goes to access like the airlock. You see your character's arms move, and depressurize and do the airlock and everything, and then as she opens like the main door to like the vacuum of space, it goes into third person, and you can just see her walking out like in third person, and like the camera's just watching her like close up on her face, and I was just like, holy shit, like this is my character, this is like whoa. And she's
I've
sort of
seen
just like,
clips of that like ending, and it just seems so like epic. It seems so cool.
it's so amazing. Like I was literally gobsmacked because, and then she's sort of like flying towards like the sort of space terminal thing, sort of like I'm going to take this down sort of thing, like grit and determination. As she starts flying to it, like the jet's kicking on a spacesuit as she starts heading towards it. And I was just like, whoa. And then it's like the music gets like really epic and then it fades to black. And I was like, no, they're not going to leave me hanging like that. I was absolutely mesmerized. I was blown away by it. And just by like that alone, I was like, okay, this game has completely gone up in my estimations. And bear in mind, I was still playing this on version 1.0, right? No patches whatsoever on a base PS4, which is like absolute ass, right? But it was all about the story for me, and I absolutely fucking loved it. It's definitely in my top 5 of like my favorite games of like the story arc and everything that I went through and played. And
like,
I was just amazed. I was like, "Holy shit!"
was it that, like, did you think it was that amazing? Like in the ending? Yeah, it's. I know what you mean.
It wasn't
But
just
that's
the
what I
ending
like.
that made that like sold the whole game. Like the whole game like sold me, but it was the ending that sort of just it was they ended it just the way I wanted it to end.
See,
But
I
yeah,
like the way my ending's so different to yours. My because I've only fully completed it once. Like,
yeah,
what my ending was, I got rid of Johnny, stormed it with the nomads, and then the rest, like to be fair, good few of the nomads die storming Arasaka, but a few of them survive, including Panam, and you have like a romantic bit with Panam where you're like getting out of the city and like you're driving across country out of the nomad badlands, and you're on like the mad like hover tank you've nicked, and it's on autopilot, and you're both holding each other's hands, and you know that like you've got like still got 6 months to live, but you're just V now. You're not like Johnny like trying to take over,
yeah,
and it's just Panam's like gonna stand by you and like you're gonna try and find a way out of it. So that's quite cool, and I like how the relationship seemed like organic and it's built over all the side missions, and it doesn't seem quite like forced. And it could just yeah, it feels like quite romantic, and like the ending, like as you said, the spaceship one is. I feel like the spaceship one is cool, but it feels abrupt. But I haven't had it. I watched a video on it, but it's still cool though. Both of them
yeah.
don't seem too out of place at all.
No, and those are only 2 endings. I think there's like 6 or something.
Yeah, there's like a secret ending where if you just sit there when Johnny gives you the choice, he's like, "Who do you want to call?" And you can choose like
Yeah,
whoever. You can choose like Judy or whoever you want to call. If you just sit there as a player for like 5 minutes or something like that, you just do it on your own.
yeah,
Like you just storm Arasaka, and it's like apparently it's solid. And then if you fuck it, you don't get the secret ending. You have like one chance. But like if you like mess it up, like doing one of the normal endings, you can do it over and over again. But if you like mess it up one time, I think it's called "Don't Fear the Reaper," like the song. It's a great game, and more to the point, like if you haven't played it yet, play it now because it's even better than it's ever been with like the free like little DLCs they've been adding through the patches. In an ideal world, it would be quite expensive, but like the DLCs for like The Witcher were great. Is if it was just another part of the map. If there was like another night city.
yeah. Another extension.
If they're
Yeah.
taking that long to do it, it would make sense.
Well, we normally say like, would you pay to see it again? But in this instance, would you pay to play it again? And the thing is, I I would say yes, because that's all we've been advocating for, and this whole spiel is basically saying we really want to play it again.
I played it a lot when it was a bit broken, and I enjoyed it. Yeah, I dropped it. Well, dropped it after playing for like 30 odd hours for it, and I like delved a lot of time in and got my tits. And I played it again last month, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
So there's our like extenuated like thoughts on Cyberpunk. So
Yeah.
I hope we've definitely informed you on that. As for our moment of the week,
Yeah, we'll jump into the moments of the week then, shall we?
moment of the week for like TV/games, it was like the trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi or Kenobi. The
That's
new
your moment
trailer.
of the week.
My moment of the week was watching Kenobi when I was watching the trailer when I was at work. I'm unbelievably hyped for Kenobi. It's everything Disney Plus have done has been great for like Star Wars anyway. Well, Boba's been. I was talking to somebody at work about it, and Boba Fett wasn't that bad. It's just that Mando was a great.
Yeah.
And they've just been fleshing it out like so much more. And it's the show where everybody wants. So like, if you'd asked most people, they would not have been wanting a Boba show, just despite Boba having like the following he does because he looks cool as fuck. But everybody has wanted a Kenobi like TV show in that setting. Just the fact that you know Darth Vader's going to be in it in his prime, and you know they're having a rematch, and you know like you could argue the stakes aren't that high because everyone Kenobi gets killed in the New Hopes, but it's going to be epic. It's going to be mad. And Deborah Chow directed like a lot of the good episodes for Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And Ian McGregor's my boy. Ian McGregor's like it's fucking gold.
Okay, all right. For my
What about you? What was your moment of the week?
My moment of the week is you're not going to expect this. I was just browsing YouTube as you do, and I came across this this thing called Mystery Incorporated, and I was like, wait, isn't that Scooby Doo? So there's a Kickstarter or Indiegogo, one of those ones, and they've created their own Scooby Doo TV show, but it's on YouTube. Like, it's completely free to watch. I don't even think there's adverts, and it's like 40, 45, 50 minutes long, and it's like a fully fledged TV show. It's like shot shot on YouTube, so it's not like huge Hollywood like effects and money put into it. It's all fan made, but it's so like interesting the way it's been done. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's amazing, and I'm not gonna say it's shit. It's like right
So what have
there.
they done with Scooby? So
Huh?
like if it's
So it's
YouTube budget, so like have they just got like dubbed voiceover and it's like a real dog?
no,
What's the
no,
fuck
no.
being a dog, is it?
This is the thing. This is the thing, right? This is why I think it's really interesting, because it could have been really shit or it could have been really good. It's like right in the middle. Scooby Doo is all about unmasking people, finding out it's not actually a villain, it's someone under a mask. And I quite like that as a child, that it's like all horrors have a face. Kind of need that sort of thing as a kid. But in this, those horrors are actually real. Like they're like devil's spawn, Satan's spawn is the way that it's done through black magic and dark magic. It's really weird but really cool. But what they've done with Scooby, basically, you know how everyone always theorized that Shaggy
Sound.
it's always stoned. That's
Yeah.
what they've kind of gone with. So when Shaggy's talking to Scooby, he thinks Scooby can understand him. So it's just a proper normal Great Dane. It's just a normal dog, a real life dog, and the dog has been trained in a particular way that the dog can just sort of like look at the actor in the right manner. It's like the dog
Like
is
a
actually
weird way, like
dog
yeah,
is actually acting. It's weird. It's like I know you've seen dogs and stuff in films before. This is like the world's greatest acting dog. It's amazing the way that it acts and the sound effects and stuff, that the noises that dog makes in response to what Shaggy says. So it's like Shaggy says something, Scooby obviously doesn't say anything back, but he sort of just like winces or whines or looks at him in a certain way, and Shaggy's like, what do you mean I shouldn't say that? What do you mean this? So Shaggy's sort of like got that sort of thing going on, and someone questions it at one point and says, are you talking to your dog? And Shaggy's like, oh yeah, no, it just calms me down, sort of thing. It keeps me calm.
how much
Right?
like
So it's a real interesting dynamic. But the thing that I think Velma, Fred, and Shaggy are all really, really good. Right? I think Velma's the best by far. Every time
how
she's
much of a
on the
mystery is it?
scene.
Like like is it still like if it's meant to be that like Shaggy's high, how kid friendly is it and how like
So that's the thing. It's not really kid friendly. It's more for our generation that loved it when we were growing up, and now we can watch it again, but more sort of modernized as our age group grows, sort of thing. So it's more so for our demographic, I feel, than the younger demographic.
yeah,
But
it's just
I
I
think
definitely want to watch it. Like it definitely got me interested.
yeah, Daphne needs more work, I feel, because she's just a real popular high school girl, and all the high school scenes are absolute cringe. They're really difficult to watch because it's sort of like that sort of prom queen, beauty queen sort of dynamic going on, and they're all like bitchy and snarky and everything with each other. And it's kind of like, oh, can we just get rid of this stereotype, please? I hate it.
It's not really OTT.
Yeah, it's really OTT, and that it actually brings the show down a bit. And I don't want to like blame like the actress or the writers or anything like that, but someone is to blame because it's in there. but I know they can do better because every other scene is great.
I'm just surprised it hasn't been done yet before. I mean, it probably has, like, but I haven't seen it, and like, this is the first time I've heard somebody do it. It's a cool concept, and it's definitely got me intrigued.
I'm all here for it, but the problem is they've when they did all the Indiegogo, they got enough funding to do one episode, so they need more funding to go over there and fund more episodes. So if anyone listening is intrigued by it and interested, go just type in Mystery Incorporated into YouTube. You should be able to find it straight away, no problem. And yeah, they'll have that links on there to donate to make future episodes. I mean, I'm really interested to watch more episodes, to be honest. I want to see where they go with this, and I hope it goes for a long time.
I tell you what, I'm surprised they haven't done. I'm glad they have like it hasn't happened.
Yeah,
I'm like glad like Netflix hasn't picked it up and made it like overly sexualized or something like that.
Yeah,
like imagine I imagine that they haven't done that with that like Mystery Incorporated on YouTube. I just feel like that wouldn't be like Scooby Doo.
No, definitely not.
Scooby Doo just is it funny? Like is it like jokes?
Yeah, there are quite a few funny moments in there. To be fair, like I said, when Fred and Velma are on the screen together, that's like your best chemistry. Like it's brilliant when they're on the screen. You actually want more scenes of them.
What are the Scooby snacks?
Scooby snacks. You don't actually see the Scooby snack, but you know that they eat it. But it's like a real small biscuit. I just figured it'd be a big ass biscuit, but it's like more of like a little nibble.
I always thought it was like a big sandwich. Like I thought it was like.
No, the Scooby snack is just like a normal sort of like dog shaped sort of snack.
Like a treat, like.
Like a treat. Yeah,
that's cool.
But
I've never heard of it. It sounds good. Like.
But yeah, there we go. So that's my moment of the week.
And that's the episode.
Yeah, and that's the end of the episode. I mean, we've really waffled on for this one. We've been recording for almost 80 minutes now, mate. Long chin mark this episode,
but I think there's been many, like, not to waffle on even longer, but this I'll try and condense it. Is when they try and make video game films, and like these people have said this, and this like people really struggle to make it, is that even a long ass film, whether it be the Batman with an episode on, you should watch that, it's good. I'll listen to it. But or whether it'll be like a short film, you only are invested or watching that film, doesn't matter how good it is, for 3 hours or 4 hours are very long if it's Lord of the Rings Extended Edition, or if it's a TV show 13 hours or 20 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
On average, the average game is at least, I think the shortest game I know, like which I played, is the Order 1866 or whatever it is. That's probably like, I think it's like 10 hours or something stupid. But most games are 20 hours to like 40 odd hours, and that's if it's not like a battle royale or a shooter or Minecraft.
You spend a lot more time. Like the main story as well.
Yeah, you spend a lot more time in that world, and if it's a good world like Cyberpunk, it's just you can discuss it till the cows come home. it's interesting, and like games. This is one of the reasons, like, I like being a gamer or whatever. I like doing it is because you do just get your teeth stuck in there.
Yeah, you get obsessive over it as well.
Yeah, you get obsessive over it. Yeah. Well, thank you for listening.
But yeah, thank you everyone for listening in. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Please subscribe and keep listening. Thank you very much.
But yeah, thanks for listening in, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.